For the first time in 36 years, Hearts lifted a major piece of silverware after beating Rangers in the Scottish Cup final. Some believe the win signals the start to a new era at Tynecastle, with the trophy drought that made Hearts a laughingstock now long gone. 1962 was the last time Hearts won a trophy after lifting the League Cup. 3 years earlier they were Division 1 champions, and success in the Jambos seemed to go hand in hand. But 35 years on, and the Tynecastle trophy room remained the same as it did in the 60s, with only a splattering of minor cup wins to their credit. Up until 1995, managers ranging from Alex MacDonald, Joe Jordan and Sandy Clark had all passed through the front doors at Tynecastle, swiftly leaving by the back exit with only limited success to their names. They had all managed a club that was still woefully inconsistent, a club that would finish second in the league one season and fight relegation the next. But that all changed when on the 4th of August 1995 Jim Jeffries was appointed as manager, taking over from the temperamental Tommy McLean. A former skipper of Hearts and a passionate fan to say the least, Jeffries signed a contract that ensured he'd stay with Hearts at least until the new millennium.
Obviously 5 successful years at Falkirk and things were going really well there, but obviously when a club like Hearts comes in, it was delighted to take up the challenge. So always close affections with the club, with being a supporter and a player. So when you set in management, you want to do as well as you can, and always another step up. And Hearts were struggling at the time, and I thought it was a really good challenge to come and take them over.
Having been manager of Hearts for just under 3 years, Jeffries witnessed his side finish fourth in the Premier Division for 2 years in a row. The Jambos surprised many by being top of the league for 9 weeks over the course of the season, eventually finishing third behind Celtic and Rangers. And with Rangers having won nothing all season, they went into the Scottish Cup final once again as underdogs. The Jambos showed real grit and determination, and many believe that the Cup win was the least the Jambos deserved after suffering for so long. If one single factor can be pinpointed for the rapid growth and strength and quality witnessed at Tynecastle, the name Jim Jeffries comes to most people's minds.
How he picks up bargain deals and spots a player that he wants in his side is a real talent. I mean, there are many different areas in management that different managers have their strong points. Tommy Docherty, for instance, was a great motivator. In rugby, Jim Telfer. Jim Jeffries has got this tremendous knack of seeing a player. He's got a great eye for a player, and again, going back financially, he's not paying out a lot of money. Jose Katongo, £80,000, that's the steal of the century. What a talent, what a player, what a crowd pleaser. And the combination of Billy Brown and Jim Jeffries seems to gel.
And the combination of Jeffries and Brown resulted in the Tynecastle manager winning the prestigious Bell's Manager of the Year award for his efforts in the 1997-1998 season.
If you're going to win in Scotland, you've then got to compete with Celtic and Rangers, and they spend fortunes, millions as we know. And I think to do what he has done and be also in the cup final, on the resources he's got, the money of what's £800,000 for his first team squad, I think is remarkable. So therefore that for me puts Jim Jeffries way out in front.
For Hearts to avoid the pitfalls they had experienced in recent seasons was never going to be easy. They had to avoid playing quality football in one game and playing like an amateur side the next. But with a reputation for being firm and disciplined, that's exactly what manager Jim Jeffries has managed to achieve.
I think the consistency surprised me more than anything, bearing in mind that every game's a hard game, you need a big player pool. Financially, we don't come into the same league as Rangers or Celtic. I mean, in their infrastructures, they are mega clubs in Europe, if not the world. Rangers are probably the top 6 richest club in the world. So for Hearts to find themselves in the situation mid-April, I can still win the league is an absolutely supersonic achievement in my book. The consistency, how they've achieved that with what would be regarded as a smallish playing pool by Rangers and Celtic terms it's almost a miracle. I think it's fantastic.
It was going to take a bit of time, hence the reason that initially they've got a 5-year contract to make sure that it would take 2 or 3 years to get the change going. And all you can do is be judged as a manager on the progress through the time you're at the club. And fortunately, since we've been here, we've achieved 3 cup finals. And you know, we finished in the top 4 in the first 2 years, and we made Europe 1 year, just missed out in another. And so this year we've already qualified for Europe, and it was just a matter of what competition we were going to be in. And so hopefully, if that's good progress, we can keep it going over the years ahead.
Signings like Gilles Rousset and Jose Kitongo highlight the belief that Jim Jeffries is one of the most shrewd managers in the business. He'll buy players for next to nothing, and within a couple of months, previously unheard of players become household names.
I've always believed that action speaks louder than words, and I didn't go shouting out about what was the trouble here. I just gradually, over the 2 to 2.5 season, naturally progressed, made some short changes, because change had to happen. That was the major factor. I mean, it was starting to show signs of returning after the euphoria coming in, and a freshness, and you're always going to get players to just give that wee bit lift to the new management team. But the old feelings cut to return, and after about 8 or 9 games we were sitting at Falkirk there and went bottom of the league, and that's when we really took the bull by the horns. And you know, it doesn't matter whatever thought or said, we're going to upset some people along the way, but you had to be strong and had to be single-minded, and that's when the changes started. And you know, we've gradually done it, as I said, made some changes in the short term just to get the impetus going, and but in the long term we had players in view long term, and these players are now in the first team, and hopefully they'll be in the first team playing together for the next 6 or 7 years, because that was another major factor to build a team, not just for you know the immediate, but also with a long-term view in mind.
Over the past few years, radical changes have been made at Hearts. Tynecastle Stadium has been completely renovated. The club now floats on the stock exchange, and along with entrepreneur Chris Robinson, an Edinburgh solicitor is now in charge of the club.
It was an honour when we took over the club. We had great designs for this club going forward. One big occasion was the spring of last year, '97, when we had a major fundraising exercise, and that acted as the catalyst to, if you like, complete the major redevelopment that has taken place in the past 3.5 years. And I, as I said, feel very proud to have been initially vice chairman and subsequently chairman of the club in the period when we've lifted Hearts, I think, to a higher plane. It was necessary to completely reconstruct Tynecastle. The stadium didn't comply with the legislation that was brought in following the Taylor report. So I'm very proud of the fact that we've managed to make that happen. It's necessitated a heck of a lot of hard work from so many people inside Tynecastle and outside Tynecastle who've put their back into this and created the stadium that we have nowadays.
Previous chairman Wallace Mercer seemed to have a roller coaster ride at Tynecastle. Few liked his cavalier style, with many feeling it simply wasn't effective at a club like Hearts. With Leslie Deans now in control, pundits seem to like the flourishing relationship he and Chief Executive Chris Robinson have with Jim Jeffries.
What they've done is that they've let the manager take the scope and say, it's up to you. If you perform, get the team right on the field, which is getting close, you know, then things will be achieved. And now we're seeing full capacity crowds. They all want to come to Tynecastle and watch them. So it's down to the manager and the players to get the base of it structured right. I think they are doing that, and I think they too should just let them go and let Jeffries go on with it. If there's a problem later down the line, in a year or two, then sure, they've got to take initiative in the situation. But I think Wallace Mercer was too self-indulgent. Want to maybe say something about certain players like Craig Leveins and John Robertson in the past. He was personally trying to take care of them, and it created a little bit of a cartel, I think, sometimes in the dressing room, and that doesn't work at clubs. That's why they've always been substandard for me. But I think the improvement has been in the manager on the pitch, and Leslie Deans and Chris Robinson should let the manager go on with it.
Talk of long-term prosperity can be damaging to a club. Managers can be fired just as quickly as they were hired, and players pass their sell-by date very quickly. Clubs like Rangers and Celtic regularly look abroad to bolster their squad. But despite £9 million being pumped into Tynecastle, Jim Jeffries still can't afford to look overseas. Jeffries is a firm believer in youth development. Players such as Paul Ritchie, Neil McCann and Gary Naismith have all benefited from the manager's faith in them. Pundits believe that Jim Jeffries is going down the right road and continuing to keep a firm grasp on up-and-coming talent. and they believe that that compensates for the fact that it's highly unlikely Hearts will do extremely well in Europe because there's a distinct lack of any world-class players at Tynecastle.
But if we agree, and I think we all must agree, that you have to get youth development systems absolutely correct if your football's to have any future at all, any good future and successful future. And I think that if there's any consolations for Hearts, it's that they have shown signs, are showing signs just now, the evidence is there, that they have a decent youth structure. But they've got to better that and improve on it all the time. They've got to invest a lot of money in that. But I mean, they may well be slightly ahead of the game right now in terms of youth development, but they've got to stay there if they want to stay at number 3.
But spurred on by continually improving performances and that incredible cup victory, many supporters now feel that Hearts can be rated higher than the third best team in Scottish football. And after the break, we look to the future and ask how Hearts can capitalise on their Scottish Cup win by going one step higher and lifting the Premier Division title.
If you're in a hurry to cash a cheque and don't have or don't want to use your bank account, then Edinburgh's Capital Cheques can offer you the chance to cash your cheque. Just bring 3 pieces of identification, like a driver's licence, passport, and a bill from your address. For more information, call Capital Cheques now on 652 2091.
Every 55 seconds, a home in Britain is burgled. What are you going to do to stop the next one being yours? Unfortunately, most burglar alarms on the market are more likely to annoy your neighbours than deter or help catch an intruder. An Extra Watch security system from ATI, on the other hand, is directly linked to a control centre operating 24 hours a day. Extra Watch is more than just a ringing alarm. They're professionals and will summon the police immediately an intruder is detected. Extra Watch from ATI costs just £159 to install and less than £1 a day after that. So call right now on 0800 955 999. Oh, and please, tell the people at number 47. Extra Watch by ATI. Security that never sleeps. 0800 955 999.
Sample the true atmosphere of Italy at Da Vinci's with the finest in hotel accommodation, nightlife and Italian dining. Lunch in our Roman-themed bar or dine in our a la carte restaurant where you can choose from 3-course lunches or our early evening menu, only $6.95. Party with live entertainment and music or relax with cocktails, fine wines, beers or a cappuccino. Why go anywhere else when it's all under one roof at Da Vinci's?
Following the Cup win, many fans are forecasting the current Hearts squad to significantly prosper in years to come. And some are even boldly saying that the squad of '98 is streets ahead of its predecessors 10 to 15 years ago. Whilst many recognise Jim Jeffries' revamped side as being one that will unquestionably strengthen in seasons to come, some say that despite a cup win under their belt, the existing youthful squad could learn a lot from looking back to the Hearts team in the mid-80s.
I think it's always difficult to compare players of different era. You can't say that the guys of today are better than some of the great players of the past or vice versa. I think football's faster now. There's no doubt that it's played at a much quicker pace than it was 30, 40 years ago.
The game has changed a lot now, you know, there's more about being a type of athletic nature, you know, good professionals, and this fitness regime that everybody seems to be concentrating on more than actual skills. I think Naismith is a quality player, as I do Richie. I think the more advanced players, the quality players have came from other players like Fulton in particular. Had a wonderful season for Hearts, and Cameron, who they brought in. So I think there's a nice balance in it.
I share the view that the squad that we've got at the present time is certainly the strongest squad Hearts have had for a number of years. But again, that doesn't mean we'll just sit back and leave it at that. By the time next season starts, I confidently expect we will have new players on the books to give extra depth to our squad. I think there could be some interesting signings coming up.
And future developments and new signings can only mean two things: more fans and more money. Over 270,000 fans passed through the turnstiles at Tynecastle last season, with the smallest attendance still in excess of 12,000. And following their Scottish Cup victory, tens of thousands of Jambos lined the streets of Edinburgh to see the open-top bus wind its way to Tynecastle. As a result of this and their actions in previous seasons, Hearts fans are widely believed to be one of the most loyal set of supporters in the Premier Division. And as any football manager will say, it's down to the fans to not only bring money into the club, but to cheer on their side to success.
I tell you what, with Hearts supporters, if you were ever in the trenches, you'd want next to a Hearts supporter, because they just don't give up. They're not as loud as they used to be, they're not as vociferous, but my word, they're loyal. I mean, the bottom line is, no trophy for 35 plus years. If that was if Rangers and Celtic were in that state, there wouldn't be Rangers and Celtic. If they hadn't won anything in 35 years, these clubs would have folded, and other clubs probably as well. I mean, since Hearts last won a trophy, clubs like Dundee, Partick Thistle, St Mirren, they've all won major trophies. Allied to Rangers and Celtic, Dundee United, Dundee, Aberdeen, they've all won plenty between them. We haven't won a thing, and the support's still hanging there, and it's a good support, it's a healthy support, and it's a growing support. I'm sure the season ticket holders next season will go up again, which is great for the club. Money up front's always the best. I think any club chairman would tell you that.
Hearts fans have had some real serious dents to their pride and even the team's credibility. They've suffered a lot. They've been in finals, they almost won the title, and to have all these things taken away at the last minute was very, very hard. So I think they deserve some credit, in fact quite a lot of credit, for having stuck with the team. And now they're coming out, as Charlie said earlier, in large numbers. So I think they do have a belief that maybe they can win a trophy now, their club can win a trophy, and they are behaving now like a set of supporters who, if they're not exactly used to success, then they're anticipating it and they expect it. And that's good, because that puts an added pressure on your team and might give your team that wee edge they need to actually win the trophy.
But not everybody shares that view. If Hearts are to capitalise on recent successful seasons, some believe that the Jambos still need to look long and hard at themselves when referring to Old Firm bias, particularly in the media.
I think Hearts fans have got a lot to learn about the game as such. It's too easy to say that the rest of Scotland is biased for Celtic and Rangers all the time. It's well acknowledged that we have 50,000 that support both teams in Glasgow. They have got to keep coming out in their numbers, not for 3 months, not just because they're in the top 3 in the championship race. They've got to do that when they're middle of the table, when the season starts 7, 8 games into it, and they're not quite at the top. That is the time that you tell when you've got a solid support.
The issue of Old Firm's supremacy has been one that refuses to lie down. On the one hand, Rangers and Celtic have a vast squad, something Hearts can still only dream of. On the other hand, Hearts did beat Rangers to lift the Scottish Cup, and while some see the Cup as being a one-off occasion, commentators believe that the issue is purely psychological, and a team needs to believe in themselves when facing the Glasgow Giants.
I think that the reality is that most of the teams in this country, in fact all the teams in this country, when you play Celtic and Rangers, you start off thinking that you're going to lose this game or that you're not going to win the game, and that's not good. You know, they won't say it openly, but it's a subconscious thing, it's a mindset, and they've got to go over that. That's a major barrier, not just for Hearts, but for all the other teams. But any team that wants to compete with the Old Firm or even split the Old Firm, they have to overcome that.
There is a certain advantage of being a bit arrogant about things. I think Rangers and Celtic, you know, there's times where I've went against Old Firm with my teams, and you've got to go there with a bit of arrogance and a bit of belief, and it's no bad thing. And you know, but you've just got to temper it and make sure that you don't become complacent with things, and that you give everybody respect, and you do realise that football things can change very quickly, and you know, you never know what's round the corner, and you've just got to do as well as you can and spot when things need to be changed, and don't sit back and then say, well, wait for it happening. Try and always keep a wee step ahead of the game.
Up until the Scottish Cup final, the issue of beating the Old Firm was a thorny one at Tynecastle. The truth of the matter is that to win the top league in Scotland, you simply must regularly record 3 points against Celtic and Rangers, something Hearts haven't managed to master in the league.
I think they're very good. I think they're just a bit short because they haven't done enough against the Old Firm, as we touched on earlier. I think they're certainly the third best team in the country. They've shown that consistently throughout the season, but they have to do something against the Old Firm. Hearts and Edinburgh people, they get annoyed when we say that all the time, but that's the bottom line in this country. If you're going to win, you're going to have to beat the Old Firm.
But the Cup victory seems to have acted as a catalyst to everyone involved with the Tynecastle club. Fanatics will claim that league success is simply just round the corner, but the Cup win is a direct result of a long-term plan at Tynecastle.
They say the more successful you are, the more you build a stick to beat your back. I mean, the expectations will be higher now, but I knew that before I took over. I mean, we know that the more success you have, the little time you do have at the club. But if you continue, as I say, it stood me in good stead for 10 years, and I hope to try and finish a career at Hearts and continually being successful, continually challenging at the top, continually try to be in cup finals.
I'd love to see Hearts with at least 10 Scottish League Championships, 10 League Cups, 10 Scottish Cups, European champions, the lot. Players getting capped all over the place, no matter if they're Scottish, English or Italian.
I've been delighted with the response this season from the fans. They've been tremendous all the way through the season. They've given the team tremendous backing, and I like to think that we've given them something back. We've given them back attractive football. We've been a high-scoring team, and there's been a lot of quality football at Tynecastle. Well, we're not sitting on our laurels, Brian. This club have got plans, big plans, which myself and my colleagues will unveil in the fullness of time, to just take things up a stage further.
Whatever those plans are, one thing is certain. Hearts is a club that is set to flourish, and the Scottish Cup win was simply the icing on an incredibly well-decorated Tynecastle cake.
Hearts, hearts, glorious hearts.